Right, so you've got your motorcycle license, or you want to get your motorcycle license, and you want to know some beginner motorbikes. Today I'm listing five beginner motorcycles that have relatively manageable power for learners, easy to ride, easy to pick up, low price points as well. We're not going to be covering anything like the MT-07 today, but we are going to get on it because, you know, I make my videos on the road. But we're going to get started straight away with an old favourite of mine, the Yamaha YZF-R 125. Now that is the best bike that you could probably start with. My list today does include CBT, A2 and A bikes, so there's a choice for everybody on my list today. So the YZF-R 125 is a very powerful 125 engine. I'm sure you've seen from my channel. Incredibly lightweight and extremely high tech, which is surprising for a 125, especially the new ones. It's got traction control, you can have a quick shifter. I believe they might even have a slipper clutch, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% on that. So yeah, the YZF-R 125 has a decent amount of horsepower as well. It comes out on one of, I've got everything on out here. Hey! It has probably the most powerful and most reliable 125 engine on the market today. And I will be putting up a picture and some spec sheet on the left side of this video for today. So the YZF-R 125 has a top speed, in my experience, as well as online, between 75 and 90 miles an hour, depending on mods, push-in, performance, or all of that, and the rider of course, because, you know, if you've got a shit rider you're going to get shit top speed. So the R125 is probably my most favourable choice. So if you are looking to start out and you want a sport bike, because that bit's important, this is a sport bike, this one, so insurances are typically going to be higher. It is an option that you should not be overtaking on a junction. But okay. Whee! So your insurance is typically going to be higher because it's a sport bike. But it is an overall great bike. In terms of spare parts, it is quite surprisingly easy to get your hands on spare parts for the R125. You've got people on Facebook like Gary Yamamoto who will ship you out anything you need, including engines. I'm yet to get my hands on a Gen 4 R125, but maybe one day we can discuss that. But if sport bikes are not your thing, the next bike on my list might be the Honda CB125R, an incredibly light, I wouldn't say light, sorry, an incredibly well-weighted 125 naked bike. Now insurance-wise this is going to be lighter. In terms of power, it has similar power to the R125, but because you've got naked fairings, you are not going to be as aerodynamic or wind resistant. Oh, my glove came out, my sleeve came out my glove, I mean. I love cornering on this bike. I'm still getting used to cornering on a naked properly. I'm not the best at it, but I'll get there. So if you do prefer the naked bike, the CB125R is a great choice. It also looks incredible for a naked bike as well, especially of the 125. I know Moto Jim on TikTok rides one and it looks good. The only complaint I have with it personally is the outdated technology that it has. It's not keeping up with the TFT dashes on the MT125 and the YZF-R 125. You know, it's a disadvantage there for everybody that has a CB125R. You could also talk about the CBR 125, but I'm not going to talk about, you know, counters. We're just going to keep going on the list. Now the next one is another naked bike, a bit lighter. Oh, I hate this roundabout. This one does my nutting. Next we're going to be talking about the Z125, which is Kawasaki. Sorry, going back to the Honda for a second. I was going to go. I think I missed something out which is quite crucial with these bikes. The reliability is unmatched to Honda. Honda's engines have been nicknamed bulletproof for a reason. How the fuck am I supposed to get out? I'm going to be sat for ages. Anyway, we get more time to talk this way. So, bulletproof engine on the Honda is exactly what you want to be getting. Like, you could shoot the bike. I'm taking this opportunity. You could shoot the bike, you'd be fine. So it's totally worth looking at one of them if you want a naked. But if Honda is not your style, then I've got another one lined up for you, which is the Kawasaki Z125. It's a little more lightweight, a little bit less power. I say less power, but take that very lightly. It's not less power in terms of, oh my god, it's so slow for a 125, but it hasn't got the best engine in my opinion. Still a great 125. Another quite cool thing about the Kawasaki Z125 is that there's not many of them on the road. So if you do actually get one, you'll have a bike that not as many people have, so you won't be, you know, blending into the crowd of YZF-Rs that are out there all the time. You know what I mean, you know what I mean. Z125, what else can I say about it? It is, you know, probably one of the best naked looking bikes in my opinion. It depends, because naked bikes have such a range of looks, where some of them go for this transformer look is what I call them, where they all look all metallic and out there and robotic, which is quite cool. I've had to learn my pitch for a second, guys. So I keep getting this, I have an issue with my throat at the moment where I can't talk for long periods of time. Right, so I have mentioned 3 bikes so far. The Yamaha YZF-R 125. We then talked about the CB125R, which I did talk about the CB700 Hornet in a recent video. So, you know, this is like a beginner version of that, I suppose. And then we talked about the Kawasaki Z125. And next we're going to move on to bikes for the higher tiers of licenses. These are all 125s. Next we're going to talk about an A2 bike. No, an A bike actually. And then we're going to talk about an A2 bike again, just to finish it off. This A bike is also restrictable to A2, so it is one of them bikes you can get, so we're kind of merging into both licenses again. So the next bike we're going to talk about is the Suzuki SV650. Now this is a bike that is commonly actually used for doing your A license. It's very popular in Oxfordshire, I'm not sure about elsewhere. But it has a decent amount of power, about 90 horsepower. It's an inline V-twin I should say. So it's got a nice decent amount of power behind it. Very manageable for someone who's just passed their A2 or A. You know, with A2 you can restrict it. Right, so guys, just had to take a little break for a second. So what we were talking about was the Suzuki SV650. It is a restrictable A class or A2 bike, depending on what you got. And it has a nice amount of horsepower, very balanced bike. It is technically a naked bike, it's not a sport bike, so insurance would be cheaper. It's also got some great technology on it, so the SV650 is also a very respectable bike to have. A lot of people have them as their first major big bike, and you know, you can't blame them. They're a very nice bike to actually own. I would like to try one someday. Now the SV650, I've just said, oh no, we're moving, and I'm not. The SV650 is a great choice if you've just got either of your licenses, because it is restrictable to A2, has a very nice amount of power, a good amount of torque to get used to as well, because the last thing you want is a bike like the MT-07 as your very first bike. This bike is extremely torquey, so you want to, you know, bikes like this or the more powerful ones, you want to have an idea of what power feels like. The SV650 is honestly a great stepping stone between both of them, you know, categories. Moving on from the SV650, if you have enjoyed the video so far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up or a subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And on to our last bike, which is one I might actually be getting just to fuck about on. Well, it's sport bike variant because they're quite cheap around where I am. The last bike is the Yamaha MT-03. Now we have mainly talked about naked bikes in this video because they are cheaper on the insurance. So it is, you know, one less major expense, if you know what I mean. Now the MT-03 is like a mini MT-07. tail end, it just needs the top end, kind of deal. A lot of people just complain about the top end, but they're still an amazing bike to have anyway. You know, it's got a very nice engine for a 300cc. Insurance is typically cheaper, and if you like your, you know, this bike mainly would have people coming from the MT125 upgrading to it. So if you like the look of your MT125, they're pretty much the same bike, just with bigger engines. Anyway guys, I am going to be ending off the video here. I apologise if it got a bit breaky uppy at the end. I'm having trouble with my throat at the moment, but if you guys did enjoy this type of video, please leave a like and please do subscribe, as it helps us on the channel out a lot. Be sure to catch the next video, and I will see you all later. Bye bye.